Welcome to the Chess Free app. Very excited about this win. I'm going to break down in detail. Again, it's against computer level 12. It's the hardest possible level on the app. Did a very good job with pens. We'll explain exactly how this happened here. Let's go to review game. And we'll go to the very first move. I'm playing as black. So white starts out with bishop forward. I decide to just mirror that. I'm not going to mirror everything, but I would like to develop some pieces here. Going to play the knight. Trying to develop some stuff. They play their knight. Okay, I actually moved my knight back. And the reason I did that, I was thinking possibly of shifting it to the left side. That idea doesn't actually work, but in this game, but sometimes if they castle on one side, you shift your knights, you can overload, which I like to do a little bit of. They play the pawn forward. So I'm already kind of in a bad spot. I'm in a bad position here. I decide to bring a pawn forward. They capture the pawn. I decide to play knight to g6. They capture again. Okay, like I said, I'm in a bad spot. I'm recapturing with the bishop here. They play the knight to b5 right there. And what they're doing basically is they're putting a ton of pressure on me. I've exposed my position. Bad opening here. Not a good spot here. But we're going to recover from this game, and it's going to be, and they're very good. This is level 12. It's the hardest possible level on here. So we'll break down how it went through. I decide, I don't really want to exchange pieces unless they take first, so I'm just going to develop my knight here. They move the bishop, or develop their bishop next. Okay, I decide it's time to castle, get my king to safety, so just castle right there. So move number 9, they changed gears on me. Didn't expect this. Well, I kind of expect this actually, because if you'll notice on move 8, they developed the bishop right there, so they're eyeing the a7 pawn. So it's kind of like a freebie. So they've taken some material. I'm not going to trade here with a rook. Now remember, the name of the game is to capture the king. Material helps, but you got to be utilizing the material. And there's different ways to utilize material better with position. There's also ways to negate opponent's pieces by penning them to like a king or penning them to a more valuable piece. So we'll look at how that develops here. I decide to, give up on this bishop. So I decide to capture the h2 pawn. Yeah, real, I'm giving up another piece, a valuable piece here. I could lose my queen. So not a great move here. But, it's not terrible. I'm looking to just tear apart their position and then try to overload something here. That's the idea. Maybe even pin it. Well, I end up pinning a piece, and we'll see later. They play rook takes, right? Okay. So from there, I move my bishop forward to d7. So, all right, the good news is I've got a bunch of mobile pieces. I've got some files opened. I've got 2 rooks and a queen. I got a couple knights. Knights are very deadly in close range, so I can do some weird stuff with that, and a bishop. They just, play pawn forward. Okay. This is where the fun part begins. I decide to play queen. Just queen from d8 to e7. My queen was kind of pinned. I want to try to develop it. I'm actually thinking of going to the g3 square with it. That's the intention. I think they see that move, actually. Or maybe not. This is where they go pawn forward right here. Okay. So, after some thought on this one, I decide the best way is to give up more material but break apart their pawn structure. Their king is, their king's only has like 3 flight squares right now. A lot of pieces defending, but 3 flight squares. Sometimes you can use an opponent's pieces against them, and that's what we're going to try to do here We got a couple rooks. We've got knight, bishop. There's a lot of stuff we can do with the king. So I decide I'm going to capture that pawn right there. So another bad trade in terms of material. I'm just giving away material here. But I kind of have a plan here, and hopefully we can make this execute to work. So they capture with the... They capture, right? Okay. So now you can see kind of what my plan is. I've got the king pinned, or I've got the bishop, or I'm going to have the bishop pinned after I capture with the queen. So we capture with the queen right there. King is pinned. So this is where I'm presenting some problems for them, because I can bring another rook if they move the king. You know, there's a lot of stuff I can do, and the bishop does not have a defender on it. So the bishop on e3 does not have a defender. So what's white most likely to do? Play the queen forward. I really don't want to exchange my queen at this point, given how much material is lost. The queen, because the queen has a lot more checkmate possibilities. But I fortunately don't really have a choice here. I want to develop some pieces. So I play rook a8. That's the far one. To e8. Looking to, really clamp down on white's king. White does what I don't want him to do. They take my queen. I do not want to exchange queens there. Given the amount of material I'm down, don't want to do that. But one thing I have going for me is I still have the pen. So, got that rook developed. That piece is penned. They decide to play king e1 to c1, castle, right? Because that's what you do when you got a castle there, right? Because if the king is pinned, it's got to get out of the pen. So the king castles. It's over, right? No. We got some moves here. We're going to play bishop d7 to g4. Right there. That's threatening the rook. We want to break apart white's defenses here. So white plays rook d1 to d3 right there. Okay. So we got to use all the pieces together. Okay. Now if you'll notice, if we can get a piece on the back row, or in the number 1 row, we can do a lot of damage here. So we got to get these pieces to work together. What I decided to do is look at pieces that are kind of tied down. So if I play the knight to f4 right there, what that means is white is not going to want to capture, because if white captures, I can play the rook to e1, and then that can be checkmate, because then white has to bring the rook to d1. I capture on d1. It's protected by the bishop on g4, and that's checkmate. So white can't do anything with my knight, in short. So they play rook d3 to a3, getting out of the way, trying to create some space here, to which I play rook f8 to d8. Okay, their response is to put the bishop back from d3 to d2. One more sacrifice here, and we will get this game out of the way. I play rook e4 to e1 check. White takes, and voila! Rook d1, d8 to d1, checkmate, game over. So that is a good example of how to use a series of pens, penning pieces down. We penned the bishop, we penned the king, a lot of good pens, and then utilizing that to launch an attack. Obviously, we had way less material here. As you can see, we got 3 pieces, 3 big pieces. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And I think we had, pawns are close. So yeah, way less material, but we were able to use our opponent's pieces and use a series of pens. And this is computer level 12, so they're not giving anything. You have to earn you have to look for those pins. You have to look for the weakness in the position, is which we did right there. So really excited about that. If you're looking for more chess, I've got links in the description below for games like this against only the highest level AI. And we've got some stuff for, basic learning and stuff like that. If you're looking for chess for beginners, or I think a good one is the like the mate problems, say mate in 1, mate in 2, 3, 4, 5. I think those ones are really good for looking at for stuff like this. And if you get good at those, you can recognize patterns. And eventually, when you get into a game like this against really tough competition, you can figure out a way to actually break through. So at least that's my experience. So anyway, would like to thank you for watching and wish you good luck.